Hi everyone, and welcome back. Tom Slivick with Phil Giurlani. How you doing, Phil? Good to see you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Phil, you're the Vice President of the Historical Society, and you're the Chairperson for the Museum Committee?
Yeah, head of the Museum Committee.
Okay.
Which basically the part of the organization that's looking to get the museum back open.
Okay. And most people know you for the good food that's served down there at Teresa's Restaurant. That's a historical place in its own right.
Yeah, we've been there a while, since 1921, so
okay.
90 years plus.
Okay, a long time, wow. And, you know, the museum's been closed down for quite a while now. Phil, why don't you give us a little bit of history background on that, the closure?
Well, the museum's been closed for 4 years. It was closed right after they'd redone the roof on it, and they found additional work needed to be done to the building for seismic issues, and then also ADA work needed to be completed.
Okay, we're going to stop there. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be back, and we'll be talking about what's happening to the museum now.
You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN.
Hi everyone, and welcome back. I'm with Phil Giurlani, and Phil Giurlani is Vice President of the Amador Historical Society, and he's the Chairman of the committee to get the museum back up and running, right?
That's right, Tom.
Okay, well, we're really glad to hear that. And we were saying that the museum closed down about 2008. I believe it was for ADA reasons. You want to continue on?
Yeah, well, I can just tell you a little bit about why it was closed down. It was ADA issues and also seismic issues that have to do with the structural integrity of the building if there happened to be an earthquake. I got involved with the Historical Society, was brought in by Larry Sonato about 3 years ago, and at that time the Society had a management agreement with the county for the mine model, and the mine model needed a handicap ramp built to enter the room or the building, and we also needed to do some ADA work on the parking lot. We had a fundraiser. Tommy's was gracious enough to offer us the use of their banquet room. Stan Lukowicz provided the meal. We had several local people, Pat Crew included, that donated, I believe, $5,000 apiece to the museum fund. That event generated about $35,000, and we spent about 10 of it on the mine model renovations, or the work we needed to do to get the mine model open. And we still have the remainder of that money in a fund, and with the funds earmarked to do work on the museum.
Right, and you did a great job on the mine model. I think they raised the whole parking lot. I think you brought the parking lot up to handle some of the ADA issues and build a swell ramp, and we were in there with Georgia Fox. We shot like a little commercial to tell people to come on down. I'm not sure if it is still, Phil, but it was open for the weekends. I think it has regular hours.
It's open on the weekends.
To schools.
Right, and by appointment. A lot of school children really enjoy the
Okay, and that's great, but it's not the same as having the museum, the house that's next door to it. When was that? Who gave us that house?
That building, I don't know exactly the dates, but that building was built back in the 1850s by the Brown family. They were a very prominent family in the early days of Jackson. The family gave the building to the county about 1949, and the county turned it into a museum, and it operated as a museum until it was closed in 2008.
Okay, now you've been working with the county, I think, for years, but you got an agreement. I believe you call it a management agreement.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
With the county, and I remember hearing you speak down there, and it seemed like the concern was a lot about liability issues. If someone got hurt during while people were working on or in the museum, where would the liability lie? And I guess that's somewhat resolved because you're able to move forward now. Can you tell us about any of that?
Yeah, I would say that the big issue with the county was expense. The county, when they do work on public-owned properties, they have to pay prevailing wage, and they have a lot of other financial obligations that a charitable organization like the Historical Society doesn't have. And people that are interested in working on the museum, like myself, you go to the county, you become a volunteer, a registered volunteer. You're covered by workman's comp when you're on the county property working on their buildings. So once we get started on the museum, we have to do an inventory first for the county. We have an inventory, but they wanted a digitalized inventory and pictures of all the artifacts in there, so that if they get moved around or misplaced, we have records of where they belong, who they belong to, and so on and so forth.
Okay, Phil, was it just basically did people just walk out of the building and close it up, so it's just like it was before the closure?
Yeah,
okay.
Pretty much everything's right where it's always been, and we were in there last week with Chuck Eiley, who's the CAO of the county, and Chuck, right, along with Supervisor Plass, were very instrumental in getting this management agreement to the point where both sides could support it.
Okay, now we had the county, I believe the county re-roofed the structure several years back. Maybe you have the date, but essentially is the roof, did it do its job? Did it keep from leaking and things like that in the museum? Yeah,
I think the roof has held up. The issue they had with the roof is that the original bid was about $280,000, and they ran into some structural problems where the roof structure was attached to the building, and by the time they got the roof done, it was at over $400,000. So after that expense, the county got a little bit concerned about if they had to do more work, how much it was going to cost, and what would the cost overruns be.
Okay, and of course, the soft economy happened about the same time in the 2008, I believe, and until now. And in fact, we're still having a lot of issues with money for things that might not seem as important as a museum. I'm sure the Historical Society in the City of Jackson and maybe a lot of citizens feel the museum is quite important, and you're moving on to get that opened again.
That's the plan. I'm looking for any kind of help that we can get.
What kind of specific help are you looking for? Who would most help you?
General contractors, licensed contractors, cement contractors, people that are, that just have construction skills, and people that would just want to come in and maybe help clean up and do that kind of thing. I just wanted to also mention that, about, what kind of priority, the museum should have in our community, being that history is one of our main things that we sell to people who come here, and access to the history of this area is pretty important. Our archives, the county archives, are closed all but one day a week. Our museum's closed, and so we do a disservice to people that come here that want to enjoy our history when they can't access the buildings that house our history. And it's something we should be concerned about, and maybe even a little bit embarrassed about,
Okay.
Because if you travel, most of the places you go to, they have a museum, and it's open, and they're proud of their history.
Okay, and we do have a lot of things that are already attracting people here with the gold mine and other amenities.
Kennedy Mine.
So to me, it's a disappointment not to be able to get in the museum, and I'm like you, probably when I travel other places, I enjoy going to their museums and things like that. So it's important to get that back up. Now, do you need volunteers? You sound like you have money to work, so you're basically looking for volunteers.
Well, we do need volunteers. We do have some monies. In fact, I wanted to mention a local lady anonymously gave $1,000 to the society for the museum fund here just recently, and any donations would be accepted.
Okay, and how do people get? We have a short amount of time. How do people go to a historical meeting with the society, or how do they get in touch with you?
Our office is on Main Street, right down the street from here.
Right.
It's in the same building as the JBCA and the Amador County Foundation, and we've got a lot of pictures and a lot of historical things that be able to view if they come into the office. And we're also online at Amador County Historical Society.com.
Okay.
So.
Okay. We have a hard break, and we've got to run. Thanks, Phil, for coming by. And
thank you for having me.
We'll have you back on, and you can keep us updated. Stay with us right here on TSPN.
watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN.